Mic check 1 2. Welcome back, one and all. Hope you are having an amazing weekend so far. Jim, Random Ladybird, Atlam, Rev, Blue Mage. How you doing? Excuse me. My throat is a little bit sore, but otherwise I'm good. My office feels so comfortable right now. Like, I'm not used to it being this cool unless it's like the middle of the winter. Not very cash money of them, is it, Blue Mage? New camera? What kind? Honestly, my new air conditioner has been it's been amazing. My office is its own biome because the rest of the house, my wife still wants heat in some places, but it's already getting hot in my office when I'm streaming and stuff. My wife she runs a little cold because of her being immunocompromised, so I'll let her like keep the heat on, you know, in places where she's around the most. But now my office is like, I just sealed the vent and like keep it nice and cool in here. So my own biome. Oh, macro camera? Nice. Those are cool. I've seen those online in videos and stuff. They look really fun. Kentucky is up to the 80s? Dang. My uncle has a place in Kentucky. So is the weather, I mean, I'm assuming that's a little bit hotter than you'd expect this time of year. But, I mean, we're getting into spring. Oh, man, I dread the summer heat as well. Every year, it just is awful. All right, let's just get our video up and running really quickly. Hey, oh, you know what we should have done before we did that, though? The itinerary. Let's cover the itinerary. So, in today's Dungeon Alchemist map-making show, we've got some fun stuff to cover. First and foremost is our news segment, where we have a couple of neat items to share that are kind of being worked on in the background. Hey, Pike, how you doing? Welcome back. What's new with you, friend? So, without further ado, we'll get into this itinerary and then get into the stream. Sorry if I'm getting a little sidetracked here. So, dam news. We're going to cover Big Top Barn Doors. The dam challenge is immediately to follow after that, where we will be showcasing entries from the Overgrown DAM challenge. And then afterwards, we'll have Dungeon Alchemist Q&A. So if you have any questions, support inquiries, whatever, we will be covering them in depth during that time slot. Well, immediately after the DAM challenge. So probably about an hour into the stream today, we'll be doing Q&A. And then afterwards, we will do the asset showcase. I'm going to showcase various assets on the workshop because we typically highlight maps or various like, the dam challenge entries are today. So since we're already highlighting a bunch of maps, I figured we could highlight some assets. And I think that'll pair very well on this day. So we can go look at some interesting ones on the workshop and highlight the great work done by our community there. Let's see. Afterwards, if there is time, we will highlight a feature in Dungeon Alchemist. I haven't decided which one yet. Maybe we'll ask our community which feature they'd like to see highlighted at that time, and I'll cover one. So, again, welcome to the Dungeon Alchemist Mapmaking Show. My name is Mac. Getting right into the damn news segment. We have some interesting developments in the background from our art team. This here is a barn door, and I just want to point out that it appears to be a barn door on a track. Hey, Jack, how you doing? So it will open, instead of like our doors on hinges, like most doors, it'll open like this. So it's like a pocket door, a track door, yeah. So this is the first time I think we've had something like this, because I don't think we have anything like that at all in DA. So this is a very interesting development. In that regard, at least, I think, you know? On our Discord the other day, Wim shared a video of barns, like the new barn assets, which I'm sure some of you saw that, but if you didn't, I will open that up really quickly here. So this is... Looks like he didn't put track doors on. He put something else on for this one. But we've got some new kind of barn assets. It looks like here's like a little pulley wheel and those neat little top door, kind of upper door area so you can roll something large in. But anyway, there are some more barn-themed assets in the works. It would be neat to get some sci-fi doors like that. So back to the track door, if you look at it here, obviously the mechanisms, it looks like, you know, it looks like old railroad parts or whatever, and could just slide open to the side. Well, a lot of people want farmsteads and, you know, good ability to build reasonably different farms for, I don't know, it seems like that's a thing that's a common occurring theme in low-level campaigns, is you'll, you know, either help a farmer or pass through farmlands, or something happened in that farming area and you need to help all the farmers. You know, it's just some kind of whatever. But anyway, it does seem like, yeah, you know, I don't know actually, Upsy Daisyism. How have you been, by the way? Been a while. Hope you're well. But yeah, this kind of like pocket sliding door is really kind of resurged in popularity in the United States, in homes in particular. Barn doors, yes, that's what they call them. Is, yeah, just barn doors. But anyway. Oh, I'm looking well, thank you. I feel like I'm putting on lots of weight, so I'm gonna start a workout routine and a big diet soon. So hoping that will, you know, make me a little bit healthier in the long run. But I appreciate it. Oh, for sure. I've got a small home gym. So, you know, I work out at home when I can, and then I've also started walking again because it's not cold as much. So I can go outside and start walking, and I'm going to start jogging, hopefully, before the end of spring. Anyway. Gotta walk before you can run, they say. Moving back into... Uh-oh, I closed that news out, didn't I? Here. More news. Beans, bacon, whiskey, and lard. It's funny you say that. I watched that movie, like, the other day. I was just looking for a random movie to turn on in the background while I was working on something on my computer, and I threw that on. And, yeah, I absolutely love Atlantis. It's like Stargate for kids. And it's just funny that it's named Atlantis because there was like a whole Atlantis arc in Stargate. So anyway, it's literally like a carbon copy of the storyline early on for sure. That said, these big top tents, you can change the color of them, and there will be a bunch of assets to match. So it looks like a little stage curtain, nice sign, ticket booth, bunch of different stuff to go with this. Notice the like the internal raised stage, and like these like banisters, like the separate, and then the neat like chairs, the benches. All of this stuff is themed around this, and I've seen it in a bunch of different colors, and so there'll be some different games and like events for, you know, big top events. Hope y'all are excited for that one. Oh yeah, we looked at this one. So we've got the barn door, the barn assets, and the big top. You know, sometimes the mobile app will have delays based on your local latency. So like if you are maybe, you know, on a Wi-Fi network versus a data, like if you're on a, like your data network versus your Wi-Fi network, it might be a little bit delayed. I've noticed if you turn down the quality you're watching at, usually it speeds up the, like, gets rid of the delay. So if you're watching it like, you know, 4K or 1080p 60, maybe drop to 720/60 or something. But yeah, when I don't have good signal is when I'm way behind in mobile streams. That makes sense. You're moving across mobile networks and stuff. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense then. So I'm going to leave this up a bit so y'all can kind of peek at it and see, you know, what's in there, what kind of things you might find and might reveal, so to speak. It's several assets. It's modular. So these end pieces are one and the center piece is another. There's a whole bunch of tent assets to work together. Yep. Well, yeah. This is not live yet. Well, the stream is live. I'm live right now, but this is up and coming stuff in our next update. Well, our next major update, Fun with Objects Part 2. We do have a small update planned, hopefully within the next week or so. We've been running into some problems with patching out some various bugs and then testing them to make sure that it actually is a viable hotfix. Sometimes we test and then we have to go back to the drawing board and fix it again or fix it better. You know what I mean? So that and our lead dev's been kind of under the weather the last couple days. So testing for this minor patch we have coming out called Fine Print. The Fine Print update should be in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. But that'll be a small hotfix update that includes a bunch of patching and improvements around like roof generation. When you place a room, like a new room, it won't delete objects like in rooms adjacent or above. We patched a bunch of just various issues that were brought to light with the Fun with Objects update that have been, you know, more and more people have been reporting them. So we've been trying to work out fixes for them, and this whole thing will be that. So anyway, I mean, you could change the floor to whatever you want. It's just the floor tool, technically. Though I don't know about that part. That probably is all wooden. But I don't know. We'll see. These are most likely coming in Fun with Objects too, yes. As we continue to, you know, add, work on the various aspects of Fun with Objects 2, the development for it, the asset team has just been churning out tons of cool assets to help with the update. So there'll probably be, I'm guessing, between 200 to 400 new assets in the update, plus a bunch of new, you know, quality of life improvements. And we're not talking the fine print update that's the patch in a few weeks, within the next week or two. We're talking Fun with Objects Part 2, hopefully before the end of the summer. So The patch, going back to that, the main new addition in that is when you are doing printed maps, you can now print maps of any size. So if it's, say, 100 by 100, you can print that, and you could say what sizes you want it to print at. So let's say you have an 8.5 by 11 printer, legal, letter. Or you have something that prints like A2. You could set it to that size, and it'll cut the map up into a bunch of equal sizes. And then so you can stitch it together to print your own large maps at home now. Okay, moving on from news. Let's get on to the Dam Challenge segment here. So I just want to say congratulations to Lord Rev. We had some very interesting entries for the Overgrown DAM Challenge. And honestly, I don't know. I felt like this one kind of had an interesting combination of a space that was still livable, but then becoming overgrown, like it's in the process of it. But this map had some fun little spaces in it. I want to share them with you so we can kind of explore it. Drop a token in here. So you have the overgrown greenhouse, which is starting to, I'm assuming the start of everything is here, and then it's kind of, oh, that was the token I placed earlier when I was exploring the map. Funny. Double tokens. Let's get rid of one. We'll go check it out with the other. But congratulations, Rev. I'm glad you're here to marvel in and bask in the glory that is your win. Can we get some congrats to our friend Lord Rev? Pats on the back, applause, just overwhelming and endless gratitude towards their fantastic cartography skills. I like this idea, though, of having some areas just kind of growing out. It's starting to take over in the house. Oh, man, I left a lot of tokens in here while I was exploring earlier, didn't I? Yeah, the library was definitely a hit. Obviously not the highlight, though, because the theme was overgrown. But yeah, I really loved the greenhouse aesthetic in the center of the whole mansion, the estate. And then the various levels where you can kind of, oh yeah, I can see that out there. See down to the level below. You did a good job kind of making this upper level feel very like an Overwatch. I like that a lot, actually. There's little rooms and stuff in all these various spaces, just kind of tucked in. It's like a big manor. Obviously, it's got accommodations. It happens. I thought I was stuck. I got out. Yep. Wizard OSHA is going to be upset. I enjoyed this balcony, actually. I really enjoyed this space overall. Just a nice use of the exterior space. The double doors was an interesting choice. Let's go find the basement. Recall it was over here. Oh, in one of the corners there was a staircase. That one, maybe. Yes. Laboratory is an interesting idea. I like that. Pike, what you been up to? How's the view on YouTube today? So I learned recently that that Twitch, their CEO, recently told their like enforcement team to stop enforcing like bans and whatnot when it comes to having a shared chat, like a multi-chat feed in the stream. So like I'm considering putting a overlaid chat feed with every platform that I can visible. Sort of mad at myself because I exited my character. This underground lab is pretty dope, and I love how the roots are penetrating the room. Fantastic, Pike. Fantastic. Glad to hear it. Been drawing and playing Resident Evil Requiem. Nice. How is that? Overstocked seems like an interesting one. Clutter is also good. How are you doing, Dyson? Welcome back. How is things in Washington? Oh, do we have a secret door? Sunny and nice today, but windy? Huh. Not Vegas windy, but still windy. It's been pretty windy here lately, too. Way to remind me. Still very cool, though, Rev. I like the concept. Uh-oh, what happened here? Should be on the wall, shouldn't it? An interesting one. I really enjoyed the moss leaking out into the hallway, though. I thought that was a nice touch. The overall, the architecture, the central, overgrowing garden that's just starting to kind of let nature take its course on this thing, little bits at a time, and just the fun layout. Very cool, man. Haunted, okay. Are you getting all these suggestions, Atlam? So I do want to remind y'all with the dam challenge, when you enter the dam challenge, and I know some of you is your first time, when you enter the dam challenge, there is some rules pinned at the top of the channel in the dam challenge channel. It's like 4 rules though. So, but one of them is rather crucial. is the map has to be uploaded to the workshop, the Steam workshop, and shared with everyone. So, others can download it, look at it, and check it out. Excuse me, I'm getting hiccups. But yeah, the central courtyard and greenhouse, I think, was a really, really interesting choice and design. Also love the back patio, the upper, floor. I can kind of see into every room. Like an observation deck. Stephen Nevins, welcome. How you doing today? Love your program. Wish there was a 3D VTT that uses as we build it in 3D. We give you the option to build in 3D so it makes your maps more detailed and intricate in all different angles, right? Granted, at the end of the day, it does export in top-down, which is your traditional tabletop gaming experience. As long as I've been playing D&D or other tabletop games, they've been in a top-down or theater of the mind, typically. So top-down map or all in my own head. When it comes to Dungeon Alchemist, though, because you have these camera tools, like this drone camera that I'm in, or when you're in a token, you have the first-person view, you can get into your maps and, grab screenshots or take recordings, even stream this perspective to your players if you wanted to. But the cool thing about it is you can use this content as handouts for your players. Or, we've had people build maps and then take pictures at different angles to make like a landing page. We've had people use their maps as normal, but then they'll fly over like a top down because one of their players has a familiar that they like to fly over and scope things out when they can. So they have a video of that ready for almost any map where the player might ask. I've seen I've actually played in a few games where the DM streams this first-person perspective and just kind of walks around with you. So, like, if you're in a room and you could just say, hey, can you look over at the plant in the center? I just want to get a better look at it. But I do understand the idea for a more seamless gameplay. At this time, though, I don't foresee it happening at least anytime soon, mainly because Dungeon Alchemist just wasn't designed with that intention. We never really designed it with the intention of exporting a 3D model or a 3D map. Only 3D perspectives in that top down, you know what I mean? Dungeon Alchemist would essentially have to be redesigned from the ground up to accommodate to this, kind of gutted from its foundations and then redoing a lot of code to support that kind of thing. And I don't know if the devs are willing to commit to that kind of thing until maybe even way down the road, you know what I mean? Though there is some discussion about a standalone tool like a Dungeon Alchemist virtual tabletop, which would be kind of a standalone app that seamlessly integrates with Dungeon Alchemist. This would be something we would, address after we leave early access and have delivered on all our stretch goals from our Kickstarter. So there is, a chance in the future we may make our own virtual tabletop integration that might be better than traditional top-down because, we allow you to build in 3D. Maybe our own tool would get the most use out of our own maps. Who knows? A lot remains to be seen. But at best, it would do like Fog of War, support things like multiplayer. There's just discussions of having it integrate with Dungeon Alchemist and this is more just community requests than anything, like people want to have a second screen mode where it's like one screen's the play screen and one screen's the DM screen. And the DM screen would just be like normal Dungeon Alchemist where you can build and add things and move things. But then on the other side, it would be the map for the players, like on a TV tabletop with Fog of War and, stuff that you're adding to it in real time. AI? Oh no, don't even get me started there. While I do think, oh, excuse me, AI can be used for a lot of things to be, somewhat helpful and assist in certain endeavors. I don't know. I'm not on the dev team, so it's not really something I can speak to as to whether they would do that or plan to, speed up development or take developmental shortcuts in that manner. Sounds to the map maker? Probably not. Remember, Dungeon Alchemist isn't a game. It's not like Minecraft, at the end of the day, it's a tool. It's a map making tool and an immersion utility. So there really wasn't really much of a push or a thought behind the scenes to add like audio. But in the virtual tabletop side of things, I'd imagine audio would be something that would be included. So, Jack, there's discussion, and this is very early at best, okay? Behind the scenes with the devs, where they're considering, after we've left early access and have, brought out most of our stretch goals, because so many people want, us to add like Fog of War and virtual tabletop features, and that's something was never really talked about in our Kickstarter. And it's not really, would start being severe feature creep in Dungeon Alchemist. It's not really intended for gameplay, right? So rather than add feature creep to Dungeon Alchemist and cause it to run slower and not as well, a standalone separate, tool, a virtual table Dungeon Alchemist VTT is something the devs are interested in and pursuing. They may even start another Kickstarter for it. Who knows? Alrighty, we're gonna move on to other maps. Congrats again, Lord Rev. How you doing, Wardian? Well, we're going to just start at the start of the list and kind of go through them. So we have 4 Jerry's. Four GE Tower, Blacksmith Forge, a forgery painting operation. You get the idea. Anyway, so this is their Overgrown map. Honestly, though, I do think, that's something on the horizon, but it might be, a couple years, realistically. The Kickstarter, if there is one, would probably happen far sooner than, say, than the actual tool itself. But the devs are definitely interested in continuing supporting Dungeon Alchemist and expanding upon this idea because our community really enjoys the product, and we want to make sure that it does all the things you're looking for. I like this just tower. So you can get a cell network in Faerun. Okay, this is the art forgery. Like it. Like the big register in the center. Lilandra, how are you? Yeah, that silver platter. As a satellite dish, right? It's an interesting one. I'm gonna take a token up to the top of the tower. Let's do it. I've been trying to teach myself a little bit about like game development using like AI, just a little bit. Like obviously I wouldn't use it to like sloppily build the whole game, but I have been like kind of, I don't know how to say it. I'll like get kind of hung up on something and then I'll ask it questions and then it'll guide me through it. Or when I don't understand something, I ask it to explain it to me and then it does it. So, or at least I hope it is. Yeah, that arch gets you pretty good. Woo! Yes, there is. I was about to go check it out because you could see it from the outside here, it looks like, so. But there's like a forgery studio in here where they make fake art. So I have this like game idea that I've been kind of working on with Mrs. Mac. We off and on, like when we're bored, we'll just kind of kick around ideas for it. And it essentially, the way I can describe it is an asymmetrical horror extraction survival game. Oh, that looks really cool. Very cool. This is Hendrik POV. Hey. Ah, hidden under the rug. Smooth. Well, at the moment, it's mostly just a bunch of concepts and art and like charts and journals. It's not much of anything developed because I don't know jack squat about game development and design. So I've been learning that in my free time. But basically, I'm taking two genres of games that are pretty popular in their own rights. It's like three genres of games technically. So extraction shooters are really popular. Like Arc Raiders is like one of the most popular games on the planet right now, right? But and other games leading up to it also very popular. People enjoy them. The streams are usually very popular. And then there's another type of game out there, games that are like Hunter v Hunted, you know? And in Hunter v Hunted games, you have like, you know, games like Friday the 13th or Dead by Daylight, where there is a Tarkov. Yes, I do enjoy Tarkov. I played it quite a bit a few years ago. Oh, that's cool, Rev. I'm glad you're taking the time to learn that, man. Learning 3D design, I'm sure it's hard to learn at first. Yeah, games like Predator. But I want to have a sort of, I think one of the biggest things, the conflicts with extraction shooters is often players end up fighting each other more than they play the game, right? They're like, well, if you can do it, that's how the game's meant to be played, right? But obviously the game can be played without doing it. And in most cases, there's more than enough loot to like reward players for working together instead of, you know, kill or be killed type situations. So I want to give a game to players that love PvP, right? But at the same time, I want to give a game to people who love PvE. And there'll be a little bit of both, and then there'll be PvPvE. What's going on with the multi-level thing? Oh, so Screw Lost, basically, yeah. Basically, when you export Dungeon Alchemist maps for multi-level, we designed the multi-level exports not to accommodate to one particular virtual tabletop, right? And at the time we pushed out this feature, there wasn't a stock or a native multi-level feature in any virtual tabletop. So we worked around what they all had, which was scenes, right? Up until just recently, Foundry didn't have multi-level or levels as a stock feature. It was offered through a module, right? And so we never developed like a feature in DA around modules, because modules often lose support or disappear or don't go from version to version in Foundry. Often, people just lose interest in them, or they don't pass the torch on to someone else. So we opted to not develop around them. Now, we develop around core functionality in Foundry, and the devs are aware that now that levels is a stock feature. Keep in mind, though, it came out after we launched multi-level, so now we have to kind of come up with something to work with it. There's discussions on, transparent exports, i.e., pretty much every level above the first level would just be the rooms, right? And it would be transparent outside. So it would be the same size image, but just the levels showing on there. So if it's a roof, that level, it would show a roof. Or if it's the second floor in a building, it would only show that and nothing outside in that image. It would just be transparent. The problem with that is PNG doesn't scale very well. Once you get to a certain point, PNG becomes unattainable. It gets too large. So, maps over like 50/50 start getting to the point where a PNG for every level, they start end up being hundreds of megabytes each, which becomes problematic in most virtual tabletops, even if they do support, levels. So WebP is the ideal option, right? Something smaller, does the same thing. The problem is WebP isn't native to Unity. So we'd have to come up with a solution, some kind of workaround ourselves. There has been some community members that have made like some scripts that do it. I haven't really played around with it, and it kind of works, but it kind of doesn't from what I see. But it essentially exports the levels above the first one with like everything, just the floors and transparency. I'm not sure what they did. I don't know programming, and I can't really say whether or not it's safe to use or what. But at this time, I know the devs are looking into solutions on our end that would be, economical for maps scaling way beyond, just your generic battle map. So when it comes to Foundry and their multi-level stuff, I definitely recommend, personally, if it were me in your shoes, I would just use our stock exports and do each level as a scene. I know it's a pain. You can set up scene triggers? Is that what they're called now? But it basically, like if your players go to a staircase or a ladder, it'll automatically load them into the next scene. So you don't need to spend time doing that yourself. That being said, I understand the appeal of having it all sandwiched together like a cake, looking down on it like layers of a Photoshop image, that you can see all the different levels from the highest point. I get the appeal to this. And I've been pushing the devs to add transparent exports for some time. That said, I don't think just transparent exports will solve the problem, because there's also a scaling or like a depth issue, a parallax issue with how like the perspectives are sometimes. And so it still looks wonky. Now, that said, with what you're trying to do, what I would recommend in your shoes, my friend, you can either just do the scenes, one image per scene, just keep it simple. If you insist on using levels, remember, you can take a map you have, right? File, save as to split off a new save. And then after you've done that, go into the terrain tab, change it to green screen, right? If you don't already know this, I'm telling this for everyone else out there too. Once in green screen, essentially, you just have to get rid of some of these extra objects that it clips into another level with the object eraser, but it still has the room, right? You can export from here, right? And then it'll have just the floors, and obviously you could delete all these objects, and then it would just be that floor level, the map size, and then the green stuff. This green you can take into Photoshop, any photo editor or video editor, and quickly remove it. I've done this several times to make like tiles or roof tiles or to do levels myself. So we do kind of have a tool built in, the green screen background. I think the transparency will work, but I think at that point we'll cross the bridge of, you know, this works this much, but then we got to fix the perspective issue. Oops, I accidentally closed DA. I'm just happy we offer a way to make it work. Like the green screen background, the devs, when I asked them for that, they're like, why? And the thing is like, I personally wanted it so I could A, superimpose things in stream on the background, B, pull, you know, tiles out from a map like we could just now using the green screen to isolate this one room, save it as an image, and now you can use that as a tile in like Foundry and stamp it in other maps. So if you have like a nice little layout of village houses, you could save them and then put them on any map. And it just saves you a lot of time for making a quick, like, massive town instead of doing it all by hand, you know? But Screw Lost, I understand your pain, my friend. Like, it is frustrating to do. It's at this point. And in my personal opinion, unless you absolutely insist on having that level of, like, production and interactivity for your players, it's a lot of work at this point that you're putting on yourself when you could just set them as scenes and then, yeah, use scene triggers when they get to stairs or ladders or anywhere. Honestly, though, like, the green screen biome is a powerful tool. You can use it for a lot of different things. Here, let me show you one other thing I've made. So I said I've made tiles, right? So this is the subterranean drill that we have as an asset. So it shows it's black here, but this is actually transparent. This is a WebM with transparent alpha layer. So this essentially is a movable object that's animated now. So I can put this on a Foundry scene and move it around because I had a map of a mine with two of them in it, and I figured they're both broken. The players could fix them and fix one because they could salvage parts from both of them and make one of them work and drive it around the mine. But yeah, anyway, that was the kind of the intention. So, but this same thought, yeah, I mean, green screen can be used for so many things, and it sky's the limit here if you get creative with it. As long as you've got a photo editor or a video editor on the back end, you can do a whole lot of stuff. I was playing around with a tile that was just all fire, right? So you could just cover a map in fire like instantly. I also did one that was like, a windmill I was playing around with. But I have a map that is like the almost exact size for a 1920 by 1080 capture. Sorry, that makes me all green and like Shrek or Hulk or something. Your artificer would love that. Artificers love anything with gears and and steam engines. Okay, next map. Entrance to the Fey Cavern by Scottles. But there was at least 3 entries this last week that they didn't attach a link right up front with their entry. So we had to get links. Like one I found, they did upload it, but they didn't share the link. Another, I think Geronimo found the link and shared it, thank goodness. And then a third, they didn't have a link. So I felt bad, like that one was disqualified. I really would have loved to include their map. We'll probably just look at it anyway, but I couldn't include it for like judging. You know what I mean? Nice. Yeah, I mean, you could do it to pretty much any animated object. Gears, you know what I mean? These kind of things. And then you can add them to your map as something the players can move. You know what I mean? Or something that can be moved around the map by you as a tile. Foundry's fun that way. Very cool. I love the lighting in this. That was my favorite thing about this map. The Feywild always just has a vibe to it, but you can really make it that much more fun by making it like well lit, right? No, see, yours was fixed by the time I went to judge. There were still 3 that didn't have their link. Honestly, you'd be hard pressed to get my character to get into a water pool in the Feywild willingly. So, yeah, there'd be creepy crawlies of all shapes and sizes, all ready to steal my name and my life. No swimming today. So what's everyone's plans this week? Tomorrow for me is D&D, the Dunda. Very excited about that. Oh, you're going to be doing your photos because you're getting your camera, right? If you get some cool up-close shots of bugs, you got to share them in the Discord. Getting ready to move? Diablo 2. Pretty good Diablo game, I gotta say. The cow level was a big part of my childhood. That makes sense, like planning ahead. Like, honestly, I declutter my life like every 5 or 6 years. I go through and just like, when was the last time I remember using this thing? Does this thing give me any joy? Will I miss this thing? Start getting rid of stuff, right? I went through in the last year, like my garage, right? I went through and cleaned up like and organized my living room and front room, like all these different things. Yeah. I went through and like found a bunch of stuff that like just I hadn't used or even thought about in years and just donated it. I live in a crappy neighborhood where it's ran with an HOA, homeowners association, and you can't just do a yard sale anytime you want. So I have to wait until the annual yard sale, which they only do like once a year. So I do participate in them here and there, and they will advertise them and put up signs. So it's nice getting support in that way. And because the whole neighborhood has people doing yard sales, it typically attracts a lot more people than a singular yard sale would. The cake is a lie. So, really quickly, I just wanted to remind everyone that our next show, next Saturday, our special guest is GM Eric, who is a professional game master here on Twitch. And he's also a user of Dungeon Alchemist, member of our community, drops by the streams pretty regularly. And he happens to be my DM. So he will be joining us on the 14th for a exclusive interview, a little hangout session on the stream. We could pick his brain about map making, session prep, encounters, professional DMing, anything really. And I know a lot of people often consider professional DMing because they enjoy it and they want to, maybe make money off the hobby. So maybe picking his brain is a good idea. He's one of the, I know a few professional DMs, and he's one of the few I know who is, constantly streaming games. Hey, see you later, Screw Lost. Are you taking off? Hey, Tazi, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Here's a follow a couple minutes ago here on Twitch. I didn't even notice. My bad. Okay. Love this map. Nice little layout, simple design. Just make sure there's no underground areas, which there is not. Okay, just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Very cool. Let's move on to our next map. This one here is by Random Ladybird. Speaking of Random Ladybird, just confirmed with her earlier today, in fact. Should I tell them? Should I tell them, Random Ladybird? So, Random Ladybird will be our guest on the 28th of this month. So, we have Eric on the 14th, and then Random Ladybird on the 28th. Very cool indeed. I am very excited to have her on. I enjoy bringing up community members, particularly, because it's not very often that we get to, get to speak to our community in this way. You all come into our Discord and our social media and our chats here on stream, but we don't get to talk to you face to face like this. And I enjoy these experiences. The interviews with our community members, in my opinion, have been my favorite. Nothing against the devs or the mods. It's fun for me to get to know you all that way. By the way, I just got to say, we are just one follower away from 3,000. We are so close to that milestone. And again, thank you, G Tazi, for following a few minutes ago, getting us that close to that. So we will be hitting 3,000 hopefully today or maybe next stream. But anyway, Random Ladybird, very excited to have you on the stream on the 28th. Excited to pick your brain and get to know you as a cartographer and a person. I get to chat with so many of you just text, but I never really get to, you know, talk to you like this. So it's fun. I enjoy it. Let's take a camera down and take a look. Hey, I like this. Then I don't have to ask you. This is smart. Like a key for your map. The Laboratory for the Examination of Alien Flora. Authorized personnel only. The Fayleaf Hill Institute. So it's like a dangerous, green botany greenhouse or whatever, just filled with dangerous fey plants. Is that kind of what you were going for with this, Random Ladybird? Can I make a Roman camp with this? Yeah, of course. There is plenty of wooden style, like walls, and flooring. And we even have objects that can be used like the Roman style walls where they would do, you know, like they would use an axe head and point up the top and then stab it into the ground. You know what I mean? The what do they call them? Palisade walls. But Roman hill forts have been done quite a few times in Dungeon Alchemist in the past, and they're probably even easier to do now. Saki? Yeah, you're right. Token's probably best. Really quickly. Sure, there's a Roman style fort. Oh, that's assets. This isn't where I want to look. Hold on. I'm just going to check the Steam Workshop to see if anyone's uploaded a map like that before. But the workshop has over, like, oh, there's thousands of maps. But here we have the Barbarian or an Outlander fort. It's all wooden walls. You can do multi-level, you can do round, you can do angled. There is all sorts of, yeah, wooden forts here. Here's one just rounded with palisades. The demo version's extremely limited, my friend. It's only like a fraction of the overall piece of pie. It's like a piece of the overall pie, right? Really, though, depends on what you're looking for. You may be looking for a specific style. Like here you have several log styles. Here you have just like foundational things, planks. We also have plaster, earthen walls. There's rock walls, and I believe there's earthen walls like these. So really just depending on what you're wanting the style to look like, it can be changed. So it would be kind of cool to have some logs that went vertical instead of horizontal. Ah, but it's only the half wall. Figure out how we can make this work. Weird that it's not letting me put any here. Hey, Shy Flames, how you doing? Anyway, I want to undo all the work I did on this map here because we're supposed to actually be checking this map out. In just a bit, Suzaki will be doing some Q&A. We got to showcase a few more maps from our current segment, which is the Dam Challenge. And then we'll be moving on to our Q&A segment immediately after that, okay? Probably within the next 25 minutes or so. If you want to stick around till then, we can dive into all sorts of ways to address it. But yeah, the demo is going to be sort of limited because it's limited in object types, room types, everything. But there are hundreds of, wall types. There's objects that can be used in lieu. You also have supplemental assets that you can download on the workshop. There's Palisades galore on here. I know for a fact because I've actually shared a few. Here are, just some like out pointy ones. Here are some that are vertical, like a log wall. So yeah, you have some options, whether it's something from the workshop or something that is a local asset that's stock. Alrighty. So another beautiful greenhouse here with Random Ladybird's map, but what's great about hers is the glasswork is insane. You put in multiple levels, in custom roofing with cupolas. So let's take a token on a tour through Random Ladybird's estate, shall we? Whoop. I like all these like little custom spaces. All the flies for the Venus flytraps. Okay, moving downstairs. Oh my, a portal. Very lovely. Nice transition there, I have to say. When I first walked through your map before, that was like one of the things that really caught me was like when you walk out of this and you have this lovely little paver area. Those boxes? This particular room was one of my favorites. Hey, Phoebe Seymour. But yeah, like the catwalks and gantry work up there. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, we got an egg hiding in here. How long would you say you put into this map? Three hours on architecture, 5 hours on houseplants. Hey, thank you so much for the subscribe. Follow Rivers on YouTube. Much appreciated. Very cool, Random Ladybird. Thank you for sharing. Oh, hey, I saw one right there. Whoop. At least one got found. Is what 3,000? No, that was over on Face or on YouTube, so it's a different count there. Because we're multi-platform, we have different counts for different platforms. So on Twitch, we're at 2,999 out of 3,000. On YouTube, though, let's see where we're at right now. I haven't checked our subs today. 12.7 thousand. You can get an exact count. Hold on. 12,779 subscribers on YouTube. We've hit some milestones as of late on our various platforms, though. Really proud of us. We hit 3,500 followers on Blue Sky this week. We hit 9,500 on TikTok this week. And then we're just about to hit 3,000 here on Twitch. Some of our platforms we do surprisingly better than others, you know what I mean? And I think it's because social media has kind of had an ebb and flow the last few years as different people have, different companies have come into control of different products and different social media. And others pop up, people kind of move between them. And anyway, that said, I think, we've been doing really well the last few years. And Geronimo always really brings his A game. This map is quite insanely beautiful. Offer them a free demo. Don't we already have a free demo? This looks like something from like Diablo 3. Now, instead of an overgrown plant, right, or grass or something in that nature, it's hubris. Overgrown pride. Hey, you know what? C's get degrees, right? Yeah, it does kind of have a Middle Earth vibe to it, huh? It feels Numenorian, or you know what I mean? One thing that's great about the Dam Challenge segment on the stream is you get to see these maps that our community just absolutely puts their heart and soul into. And these maps are just some of the best maps available on the workshop. It's so crazy, some of the maps that are available each week or every other week or so because of the Dam Challenge. Ow. Stubbed my heel. My like chair wheel brake hit it really hard. That hurt. Look at all these, like there's like hands reaching up. They're like souls. Kind of creepy. Yeah, it is all facade. There really is just the surface level, though this would be an insanely cool battle map. We just hit 3,000. Dr. Spire, thank you. Much appreciated. Good days to use. Thanks to you, we now hit our goal of 3,000. Hey, Belladonna, how are you? Welcome back. It's unsettling, isn't it? This map is called Overgrown Pride. Every map we shared today is available on the Steam Workshop. Excuse me. Glad to have you around, to be honest. Hey, we actually should start probably trying to figure out which suggestion we're going to go with. Atlam. So let's start, maybe get a like some polling going or something. Let's just get people, ask people what they think. Yeah, it would be a cool place for a final boss encounter for sure. Suggestion, light and shadow. Very cool. Gotta ask y'all, can you hear my air conditioner in the mic? Very well done, Geronimo. Like, dude, you always just bring your absolute A game and make these super structures that are so bomb. Let's reveal all of it before we step away. That's good. That means my mic is good and my AC is quiet. And my office feels so comfy and cool. I'm actually very excited to stream this summer because it will no longer be slowly melting my brain. These little areas with like the broken steps to them and the floors, it looks really cool. The River of the Damned is pretty messed up. Those are hands. They look like they're people in that river. Yeah, unfortunately, to get into this building, it would have to be another map because it is just a facade for real. I'm glad y'all aren't hearing it. Let's try and get through the rest of these maps here. So we've got this next one by Highland Lass, and this one's inspired by Red Dead Redemption 2. So Tumbleweed is what it's based on from Red Dead. If you look at the hands, there's bodies below them in the water. So I am assuming it's like damned souls from Too Much Pride, right? That's kind of how I interpreted it, but, I could have read the description. I loved the crows. It's actually a murder when they hang out like this. This group would do very well on the Orient Express. I love me a good Western map, right? Not too many people build Western maps in DA. Let's just take votes for next one. Yeah, so if you have any suggestions or voting on the ones that have already been kind of put to Atlam, put a list up in chat of all the ones that have been suggested so far. Maybe you could start voting on those. Oh, this right here for sure. The false front of the building. It's very well done. Oh, I guess I gotta just looked in from outside. It's like a few prisoners have been broken out over the years. Really great use of just like all the abandoned and broken down detritus and stuff. Volkahar, how you doing? What you been up to? Welcome back. Let's see if there's an underground. Well, first off, let's add all the floors. Yes, there is a cellar. I missed this on my first pass. Good to know. Let's drop an NPC in here, shall we? Let me out of here! Let me out of here! Oh, nice. Honestly, sports with the kids is always fun. Activities with the family, always great, right? The weather's been pretty nice here the last few weeks, so I've been getting a lot of walks with my son and the missus, and I helped my son come up with an idea for like a small business for the spring and summer, and so he's gonna be doing that. We were walking around the neighborhood and started seeing all the weeds pop up in all our neighbors' houses, right? And because we live in a neighborhood with an HOA, the HOA is going to fine them if they don't take their weeds out, get rid of the weeds eventually. So he could just, you know, go drop off a flyer at every house with weeds and offer to spray and kill their weeds for them for the, you know, once a month for the spring and summer months. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. I was about to do the guitar solo with my voice. Just beatbox the guitar solo. Well, you're probably wondering how I got here. That's why you got to go report them, dude. You got to drop to that level, get petty. The HOA exists. Report people who do that. No, I had a neighbor who would report me for everything, right? Constantly reporting me to the HOA for my trash cans, for weeds, for garbage, for anything that would just anything. And then this same neighbor had a truck parked in front of their house that was leaking oil that hadn't moved in like months. And so the HOA came over and they're like asking me to move my garbage cans. And I was like, sure, I'll do that. But while you're here, do you think you could do something about the leaking truck across the street? And they're like, oh, how long has it been like that? And I just gave them, I was like, you know, I actually took some pictures a few months ago. I could send them to you as evidence. And they're like, oh, yeah. And so I did. And then within like 3 days, that truck was gone. Never saw it again. I don't like being petty, but if the HOA is going to make my life miserable, I would hope the standards are kept the same for everyone. You know, like all of us have to keep the neighborhood looking nice. We all work together on this because, yeah, exactly. It can't just be me. I used to live in a neighborhood with an HOA, and the HOA head was the owner of the house I was renting. So they didn't live in the neighborhood, but they used that maliciously to make my life awful. Anything they didn't like, they would HOA notice. So in the United States, a lot of a lot of neighborhoods have what's called homeowners associations. And I'll be honest with you, homeowners associations, if you research them, they kind of have a very racist history. That's where they were brought about, was a lot of people were trying to keep certain other groups out of their neighborhoods, and they'd write up all these rules and articles, and all the neighbors would agree to them as a charter, right? So nowadays, they're more like just a way for old, grumpy people with nothing better to do in your neighborhood to dictate how you live in your own home. The color of the paint on your house, you know, how tall your grass is, whether you have weeds or not, the color of your door paint, things like this in an HOA can be decided. And they do this. Nowadays, they claim it's to keep property values high, because if every home in the neighborhood looks reasonable, doesn't have any trash or, you know, broken cars in front of it, you know, the streets look nice, we all have similar style homes, they keep the property value higher. That's that's allegedly what it is. It's very hard to find homes without an HOA, but yes, that's one way to do it. Become part of your HOA board and then dissolve it. So it's a committee of neighbors, all in the same neighborhood, who decided on a neighborhood charter for how certain things should be in your home, like exterior, not inside, exterior. But like in order to do construction, for instance, you need a permit from the HOA. Like there's all sorts of things. Because Sasaki, all the people as part of the HOA signed an agreement that if they don't, then they get fined. So they'll send you a notice telling you have to clean up XYZ before this date. And if you don't, then you get fined. And if you don't pay the fines, then they can put a lien against your home and take your home from you. This has happened numerous times in the United States. People lose their homes because HOA liens. Oh, I don't really care for HOAs, but if they're going to be petty to me, I will definitely learn everything about it and be as petty as I can too. You know what I mean? I love this map, Highland Lass. Really, really captured the vibe of Red Dead Redemption 2. Thank you for sharing. We're going to go on to the next map. We got 2 left, and then we're going to wrap up the Dam Challenge segment and go to Q&A. Sorry this ran a little bit longer today. But there are plenty of places in the United States, and even here in Vegas where I live, where the neighborhoods do not have an HOA. But then you can see a drastic difference in the neighborhood's quality. Neighborhoods without an HOA, every home looks different. They're very personalized. But then you'll have a home that is covered in weeds and ignored, and that one starts looking really bad on the street, right? Or maybe someone has a whole bunch of cars parked in their yard that are broken down. That doesn't happen in the HOA neighborhood. So there are some positives to it. Oh, your English is great, Sasaki. I think you're doing great. And I'm sorry if you can't understand me. I try to speak, you know, very articulated and try to explain things a couple of times when I do them. So it usually gets the point across, I'm hoping. Where are you based? Where are you from, Sasaki? I love looking at the maps too. Another Seymour. Yeah, I saw this one earlier and made me laugh. Let's first off make sure there's nothing crazy underground. Okay. Whoa. Doom. Really love these, the shape of the greenhouse and the superstructure. Let us... No. Feed me, Seymour. Dang, that one's very big. It's almost about to break the dome. Makes you wonder, like, you know, like the biodome or something like that, if it was just like left to its own devices, how long it would take before it grew out or everything died. Well, that's unsettling. So yeah, I mean, I imagine that sentiment probably doesn't exist in Hungary, right? Where, you know, there's a neighborhood sort of alliance or group that kind of sets rules and regulations for the neighborhood. Keep in mind though that they don't have like absolute law and rule over you as much as they might like to think they do. There are still plenty of instances where like they can't dictate things that you do, right? Like you still have your rights as, you know, like if you can, come and go as you please. They can't be like, hey, you have a curfew or something like that in my neighborhood. That would be crazy. But they definitely try to keep like everyone's houses painted the same color aesthetic, and they have like a palette of colors. Everyone has to have like similar yards. It is what it is. I love these treants just hanging out. Are they like the tenders of the biodomes? I hope this bug gets fixed when the fine print update comes out, where you can see through the roofing on the outside or the inside. I think you did a great job. Here's the thing: it's not just a plain old map. This greenhouse is dope, right? The waterfall, the water feature, the design is really good. Blue Mage, you did a great job. I really enjoyed just exploring it in general. There's all these little things going on everywhere I look, and this is just nature doing its thing. Nature being natural. So, like, one positive is my neighborhood, for the most part, is always clean. Like on trash day, there's a rule that your trash has to be out on trash day, has to be pulled back in the next day, and all your trash needs to be in bags, right? So, like, there's a lot less trash and garbage in our neighborhood than other neighborhoods I've lived in. Because all the homes are similar in look, it kind of is not jarring when there's like a random one that's a different color. And there's definitely not like any broken down vehicles all over the place. So I feel like my neighborhood's rather nice. Like I'm proud of the neighborhood, but at the same time, yeah, I definitely have beefs with the HOA. Like I don't care for them. Like if a light goes out on my porch, I'll get a notice about it that the bulb's out and I have to replace it. It's stupid that they would mail me a letter instead of just call me or something to tell me the bulb's out. But it is what it is. It's bureaucracy. Yeah, you did a great job with all the carnivorous plants. Really seems like life is taken over in here, and before too long, it'll probably be bursting out the side. As it already is, it looks like. That's unsettling. All right. Brady. Blue Mage, thank you so much for sharing your build, my man. I really like this one. Can't wait to see what you make next. Oh, got stuck in the waterfall. Let us go over here, and then we're going to load the last map, and then move on to our Q&A section. This last map is from Chim. It's called The Tall Grass. So, Suzaki, are you looking to make maps for Dungeons and Dragons or a similar tabletop game? Because you said you wanted to make like a Roman fort. What is there a game you want to make it for? Particular, like, system? Why is it your maps always make my computer freeze up? I don't know what it is about your maps, Jim. You made a video? Thank you. I'll have to check it out after the stream. Gotta ask you, are these terror birds? Yes, they are. So I'm assuming this is what, South America? Terror birds, like, they're actually terrifying. First off, they would be like, you know, at this point in their neck is like 5 feet tall. So they'd be like 5 to 8 feet tall. And their beaks were so ridiculously sharp and hard, they could just like hit you in the head and pierce your skull. And probably swallow you, like, parts of your body in a single bite. Their claws are like cassowary claws. And if you've never seen a cassowary, look them up. They're huge birds that are basically similarly built. Terrifying. And they were roaming around hunting early humans in like South America. What? Could you imagine? That would be terrifying. I mean, that's what dinosaurs are, really, right? Hey, Cyber Cujo, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. I did not see your follow a moment ago, but I appreciate that very much. I remember watching some documentaries on these things, and but they allegedly never, they're not in the fossil record beyond in North America because of the Darien Gap. Like, they never made it past, I'm assuming. But they evolved because oh, you're happy to follow my channel? Well, thank you for the kind words and for saying hello. How you doing today, Cyber Cujo? Hey, oh, found the sign. There we go. Found the sign. I know that font. That's Bleeding Cowboy. That one. Very cool. Southwest calls for Bleeding Cowboy. The reason I know this font is there was a period of time when like everything was Bleeding Cowboy, and I was doing graphic design at the time, and it just killed me how many clients would come to me. They're like, we want to use this font. Oh, you want to use Bleeding Cowboy? Okay. Like every country star, every freaking like just it was just I was seeing it all over Twitch at the time on profiles. A lot of my clients IRL wanted to use it on their businesses, and you still see it around. It's just interesting, but it matches really well here. But I knew exactly what it was the moment I saw it. I like the addition of the temples here, right? And the subterranean structures you have. Though I don't know, I mean, obviously this is a fantasy setting here, but I don't think humans had like overlap with terror birds that much when they were building structures like this. Let's drop a token in here. Let's go. Let's make like Indiana and rob some graves. Dun 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 dun. Whoa. Fell down really far. Dun 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 dun. Does have some Ark survival vibes, doesn't it? Well, I'm trapped here. This is my life now. Hey! Am I getting stuck on here? Excuse me. Looks like he took too long of a nap. Alrighty. Let's move on to our Q&A segment, because this segment ran a little long today, and I'm sorry about that. But it was so fun showcasing all your maps from the Dam Challenge. Thank you, everyone that participated in the Dam Challenge. Throughout the rest of the stream, we'll be voting and trying to pick a theme for the upcoming Dam Challenge. For those wondering, what is this guy talking about? The Dam Challenge is a bi-weekly map-making contest. By bi-weekly, I mean every 2 weeks. That we host here on our stream and in our Discord. Anyone in our community can enter. All you need is the theme that we pick as a group, and then some inspiration. You use the theme we pick, you use that as inspiration, you make a map of any shape or size, and then you submit that map to the Dam Challenge channel in our Discord. There's some rules pinned at the top of the channel. There's a little pin icon in Discord. You can click it. It shows those pinned messages. Pinned message has the rules for submission, but as long as you follow the rules, you're entered into the map making contest and you have a chance to win a $10 Hero Forge gift card, have your map featured first on the Dam Challenge segment in our stream, and also featured and highlighted in our weekly newsletter, the Cartomancer Chronicles. So, if you're interested in participating in a future Dam Challenge, stick around as we pick our upcoming theme, and I'll give you the deadline for that date. Let's see here. So, let's change this over to the Q&A art, and then we will start that up. In fact, let's just go to the big cam for a bit. So, does anyone have any Dungeon Alchemist inquiries, questions, support, etc., that they'd like to have addressed on the stream? I know Saki earlier was watching on Facebook or YouTube. They may have some questions. If you want to, Suzaki, if you want to get that addressed now, that would be something we could just discuss. So if there's any other questions you have about Dungeon Alchemists, let's talk about them now. And if any of you are new to DA or experienced map maker and you're struggling with a certain concept or having trouble with your exports or have questions about how to accomplish something, or maybe you're trying to build something, you're like, I feel like this should be done a certain way and you're not sure how, that's what I'm here for. So remember, as the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist, I have thousands of hours of time with Dungeon Alchemist, and I'd love to share my experience with you all. So if you have any support inquiries or need guidance with your map making, now's the time. The picture of how Roman fort, you mean you want me to show you how to build a Roman fort in this, or you want me to show you some examples of some? Or did you have a picture you were trying to share with me? Okay, well, let's try pulling up some forts. So we can look and see if there are any that are wooden and kind of go from there. You tried to share a picture with me? Where did you try to send it to me? So here we have just a simple, fort with some palisades outside. There is a stock object called barricades that works great for, putting almost anywhere. And because it's an object, you can disable collisions, merge them together, overlap them, oversize them, sink them into the ground, raise them up. You have all sorts of options with objects. If you're using the room tool only, you may run into some things you're not necessarily happy with. Like you were saying, there wasn't really a log type that went vertically, right? So what I would probably do in the YouTube chat? Yeah, I probably never got that. Here, I'll just Google some Roman fort images and see if we can see what you're looking for. I mean, there's lots of images of Roman forts, and obviously Roman stuff spanned quite a bit of time. But I'm assuming you're meaning like the more traditional type, right? Something like this. You're just seeing me? Oh, you know what? I thought I was sharing the other feed. Thank you for saying something. My bad. Something like this? Something like this? I mean, that's only an exterior image. Doesn't give me a whole lot to work with other than the fence, but I'll try, see what I can come up with. So I'm going to generate 2 floors here really quickly. And that inside area, it's really non-existent from a gameplay perspective. I'm just raising this up to make it seem like a big fort wall. So at this point now, I've gotten what is, 15-foot thick walls that are 20 feet tall, roughly. If I wanted, I could even go taller. I can flatten out this roof to just be a flat roof, right? Which they have wooden planks that can kind of go along with it, right? To match that aesthetic. You can even put half walls along the outside edge at the top there, if this is a room. So what I would recommend is turning the top into a room. We'll just generate one more room, right? Because you can put a flat roof on it, and that's great, but there's also tons more flooring options and wall options available to you if this is actually a room that you make into a flat roof. So what I did is I just generated a room without any walls, and I'm going to go up to the roofing level really quickly and delete the roof from this height. So now I can change this floor to be whatever. I could do crenulations at this 3rd level if I wanted. Wait. Oh, that's the roof tool, because that's a floor now, right? I just said that was a floor, did I not? Sorry, my bad. So at this point, I can go in and find pretty much any wood I want in the flooring options, because this is now a floor instead of a ceiling. And then I could also take something like the wall tool. Here we have, fences. This is what we were going to show you earlier. So here's like, you know, palisade pointies on the outside if you wanted to. Alternatively, you were looking earlier and you were saying like, oh, there's like those tower structures, right? Let's see what we can come up with. I think there's some of these things that are like just foundations, frames, right? You could put like something here, make it into a tower. This is just kind of the start of it. We'll go up another level. And then we just keep adding on to it and keep going on. Yeah, grandstands could work too. That's a good idea. These are great for a quick tower. If you wanted something just quick and easy, right? But I was going to build up a tower here. Watch. Just watch and learn. And I don't even have to use these ones. We could put them up on like a pillar or something instead. This stuff here is completely non-existent. It doesn't need to be there. We can use whatever later. So I could, in essence, delete this, but I'm just using it as kind of a platform to go up another level. So I could technically, if I wanted to now that I've gone up this high, I could just delete these walls, for instance, right here. Now there's a floor up here and I can put these pillars under it and we can use any type of floor to make it more like aesthetically pleasing. So I can combine some objects and some building, you know, to make two different things. But at this point, this level here, you could build it up to the tower, or you could keep going up. Just get rid of the roof and keep building up and up. Let me try the floor here to something else. Let's try those, yeah, that wooden plank thing that we had there, like these. Log. Okay, why? There. Everyone loves a log. Put a little ledge there. Or we could even do more supports like these underneath. Here, let's do that one. Why won't these place? It's frustrating. We could put a ladder going up the center of this or a staircase, whatever. You can even put walls on this edge if you wanted to. Sadly, I should have put the pillars last because they're probably going to delete. You can put like these if we wanted to. But this is like a quick, you know, prototype design of making a fort. And if you wanted to have a passage go through this outside, right? Like a passageway, I'm going to flatten this to room height, the terrain here. And then we could just have a door go straight through this. It's quite simple, actually. We can even add a wall in the inner side and just pretend this is one solid wall that no one goes through. You know what I mean? It really doesn't have to be this thing that people can see inside and know about. So what I'll do is I'll put like some walls like this on the inside if you don't want your players going through this wall superstructure. If it's just intended to be like a a solid wall, maybe dirt and wood or solid stone or whatever you're making it to be. At this point, you can then take and just put a door on here and pass through. So I like the big arch doors or a double doorway or something with like a gate. They have the XL large ones, right? These work really great on this kind of stuff. Dang, I didn't center it well. So if you wanted a staircase here, you could put one underneath it, you know, so you just find the stair that you like or staircase that you appreciate and enjoy. Those will be under structural, under stairs. I'm just going to grab one to put in here just so you kind of see. If collisions are off, when you put in the staircase, it'll automatically, dynamically cut holes in it. Does that make sense? In the room above. Alternatively, we do have some ladders. Several options here. There's like a Miller's staircase. There's regular ladder. So these could be something you do in between instead. So essentially, here, let me move these pillars and I'll just finish this concept up for you so you can see it end to end. My back is killing it. I'm going to set aside a ladder here. And then we're going to find just another pillar just in case. That one's a little bit taller. Let's try that one instead. Not as thick, but it also can get quite tall. We're going to go into the walls. I'm going to find half walls, fences, whatever. I like these pointy ones, right? Okay, so now let's add a ladder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a hatch. Okay, so we have some hatches. Do something like this. This being so slow and against me, I'm just going to put it like in this corner here, right? You can open the hatch if you want, but that's a perfect place for a ladder. So we could take this ladder and put it there. So now we have a ladder up, and then I'm going to just add these pillars in here for supports to finish this concept up. And that's just like a very basic one, nothing too fancy. We could change the roof if we want to something else, like a more flattened roof. You could have an angled roof. You could do, there's a lot of different wooden ones in here too that are fun and kind of just like improvisational. But yes, you can open a floor through the floor tool. Like let's say you wanted to delete a floor here to put a hatch down. You could do that, or a staircase coming up. So you have the remove floor tool and the floor tool. So you have add in, change floor, and remove floor. Ladders do not make holes automatically. Only the staircases do at this time. You'll have to build them individually. There's no way to copy and paste large groupings of objects at this time, or rooms. Because Dungeon Alchemist is in early access, there's still things that, you know, aren't necessarily available inside of it yet. But then within here, you can put tents or whatever you want within the base, right? There are also quicker ways to make towers, like we said earlier, right? There is that, what was it? The grandstands, right? These are essentially already a tower. You could just take something like this and put it in the corner. Much easier to do. You can oversize it a little bit, put a staircase going up to it, call it a day. Just put one more, like, fence on this side. However, or you could take the one that's... Oh, there is one that is already with a stair. See, like that. You can do several things like this. Hey, Highland Lass, really appreciated your map. Thanks for sharing. Alrighty. Oh. Have we picked a theme yet? Oh. So you can either use the room tool to build towers, right? Or, like, I actually really enjoy using the room tool to craft towers at times. Because, for instance, you could take it like this and then make a circular tower, right? Like a rounded one. Not just square. Then you generate that. I generated it without walls. Doofus. And then you could just keep going up a level and make like little towers on the sides that look like, you know, they're cool, some sort of, you know, defensive structure with a hatch in the middle if you want, and like a ladder going up to the top. You could put windows, or heck, if you wanted to get crazy, because we have like arrow slits, you could add those, for instance. Wonder, do we have wooden arrow slits? Probably not. But we have these like stone ones. Where are they? And in here are a couple of arrow slits. So you could like put those up in the like certain key spots, right? You can have a lot of fun with it. And I like how he gets this crosshatch stuff sometimes, so that looks like it's extra, like it was built by hand. Suzaki, does that like answer your questions to a degree? There's probably 3 or 4 ways to approach this problem that you want to make, you know, Roman towers. Put a door here, or like a walkway, like a wooden arch, right? This is definitely a much faster way to make this than the last one. Hope you find that helpful, my friend. But notice there's a lot of ways we can make it look like a fortified structure for sure at this level, right? Towers on the corners, in the center, on the sides, big, thick walls. And remember, think of this interior space as dead space. It's like it's packed with dirt and wood, no one's really supposed to see inside, right? Hey, see you later, Highland Lass. Thank you for dropping in. Alrighty, do we have any more questions today for our Q&A sections of the stream? If not, I am going to move over to showcasing assets from the workshop. I am very excited for D&D tomorrow, and I'm excited to tell you all about it on Monday when I come back. A little bummed though, one of our players announced like day before last that they're feeling really sick, so they probably won't be joining us tomorrow. I'm secretly holding out hope they feel better tomorrow. Right now, there really isn't a super quick way to figure it out, short of just knowing them or going through them. I mean, they are divided into categories. So if you have a wood floor, you start in wood and go from there, right? Unfortunately, what I usually do when I'm unsure, like let's say I have a place that's generated, right? Like this cabin will generate one. Let's say I'm unsure of the wood floor, right? So I have it in front of me. I'll go to the floors. You have artificial and then wood. So I go to wood. I'm like, oh man, there's a lot of patterns here. Right? Could be any one of these. But also remember, there are two types of wood. There's ruined and regular. So it's likely the one in the ruined. And usually what I do is I'll grab it and then I'll go over. And if it doesn't change, that's how I know. So if you grab it and you go over and it changes like it just did there, nothing happened. So that's kind of my quick way of doing it. If it doesn't change, then I know the floor. I'll mark it as a favorite. And then it's saved in my favorites for later. So, you know, I don't have to deal with this issue again, if that makes any sense. So I have that saved. Now our next update, the Fun with Objects 2 update, will include a dropper tool that'll allow you to like click on any object, floor, wall, window, whatever, and determine exactly where it is in the menu. So soon a feature will be coming out that'll speed that up, Jack. But for right now, unfortunately, it's just eyeballing it, my friend. And yeah, that's become problematic as there's more and more and more and more. But usually what I do is I start at the top, figuring out, oh, it's wood. Okay, then I go into floors, look at all the artificial and wood, or check the ruin section too, because usually there's some stone and wood there as well. So I'll have to divide it and look for it, and just like you do. And it is a bummer, for sure. I understand the frustration here. I hope that when the dropper tool comes out, it works exactly as I'm thinking. But what I've seen is you could have an object on there and just click it, or click the dropper tool and select it, and it'll go right to where it is in the menu, so you can find it and know what it is. So, by the way, objects do have tooltips on them, but floors and walls don't. So that's where this is frustrating as well. Like on an object, you can see the name of it and just search it. But unfortunately, with floors, you don't have that yet. So this tooltip dropper tool should be available hopefully before the end of the summer. Oh. All right, let's pull up some assets from the workshop. I didn't really pre-download any because I figured we could hunt and check them out together. I did feature this one in the workshop. It is an interesting object because there's not really any, you know, chairs for, you know, like a doctor's office, dentist's office, like any type of clinic chairs, or yeah, like a barber's chair. So this could be used in several different ways, I'd imagine. And it really does fit and match that DA aesthetic. I actually featured that in the last edition of Cartomancer Chronicles. Ugh. Let's sort by most recent and see what it's been uploaded as of late. Oh, man. So, like this here, look at it. This looks really nice and detailed, but look at how big this file is. This is something you should always look at when you're looking at assets from the workshop, because this is huge. This is 10 times the average map file size in Dungeon Alchemist. The average Dungeon Alchemist map is 5 megabytes or less. So a 57 megabyte object is going to increase your map's file size exponentially and also slow down your Dungeon Alchemist performance, meaning it'll run poorly, load times will increase, etc. Beyond, I mean, the thing is realistically, the room generation tool, the procedural AI for the room generation only can kind of make smart rooms that make sense up to a certain size. Beyond a certain point, it gets confused as to what to do. Usually when I'm generating large rooms, I just generate them without objects, because you can set this under the room generation settings to generate without objects. So it essentially just generates a blank room and you can decorate it how you want. Another thing to think of too, logically, it's trying to make sense of your request. So like, let's say there's hundreds of pillars. If the room is massive, back in the day, a big room needed pillars to help support the ceiling. So you often needed some kind of support substructure to make the room make sense. But yeah, over a certain size room, usually beyond like 10 or like 15 by 15 rooms, it will start kind of just duplicating lots of the same things over and over again because it isn't sure exactly what you want. Like, in what instance would there be a massive 100 by 100 cabin? Most of these are smaller rooms. You know what I mean? Ideally, you want your assets to, be around 10 megabytes or less per file. We try to, encourage 25 megabytes or less from our community. But like, if you can make them a megabyte or less when you're uploading them, that's ideal, because it's just very small. Very quick to download, very easy to store and not worry about it. Is that something they were asking about? I don't see them asking for shaping the room at all. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm covering something they're interested in learning. No, what they're curious about is why the room regenerates a lot of the same shit when you generate a huge room. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Because think of our AI like last gen. It's old. It's a procedural, dumb AI. It's not like Gen AI, generative AI, that can predict what you want. This is what they're complaining about. Why the room gets hundreds of pillars or makes very little sense. I'm pretty sure this is what they're asking about, but there is a language barrier too. So like, they're wondering why when you generate a room, it tends to get this if it's over a certain size. Most any of our rooms, when you generate them beyond a certain size, will all kind of default to a weird layout that just doesn't make sense. So usually I try to keep my rooms, about 20 by 20 or smaller. But even still, you're going to run into issues on occasion because the AI can't predict what you think is ideal. It just kind of has parameters and it generates what it thinks makes sense. That's the one of the downsides of procedural AI. But remember, if you generate a room and you're unhappy with it, you can always regenerate it by hitting refresh. Often it'll do similar stuff, but then it'll occasionally shift things around. Alrighty, everyone. I think it's time to wrap up the stream. Let's do one more asset before we wrap up. Sort by most recent. But like, yeah, this for a whole token, 1.63, that's not bad. Very detailed token. But like me personally, I would never willingly download this file because unless it was in a map I was opening. Rev, are you still here? Did you make this in that new game that everyone's playing where you can make like weapons? Like a Steam game where you can forge weapons and export them as 3D files? Blade Song, that's what it's called. Cool. Very cool. So for those wondering, Blade Song is a tool. It's a game essentially on Steam that allows you to build in game. You build weapons, and then the weapons can be exported as 3D files. Let's go ahead and go with Light and Shadow as the winner because we don't really have any time to mess around with it. I want to get it updated before the stream ends. So, Suzaki, depending on the game you play, the size of the space is dictated by how big the squares are in the game. Okay, that's what they're trying to tell you. So like in D&D, these squares are 5 feet, right? But some games, they're different measurements. Now, at the end of the day, though, you can have a small room like this and say that the squares are 10 feet, and that instantly doubles the scale of the room size. Okay? So if you have objects in here and you scaled them differently and said, hey, my squares are 10 by 10, then instantly it's a much larger room than if the squares were 5 by 5. Really depends on what system you're playing. Does that make sense? So our next dam challenge is Light and Shadow. Using Light and Shadow as inspiration, make a map of any size, and share that map in the dam challenge Discord before the deadline, which is You have between now and the end of day, Friday the 20th, so before 11:59 p.m. in your time zone, or 23:59 in your time zone on Friday the 20th. Okay? You have between now and then to make a map of any shape or size using light and shadow as inspiration. Good luck, everyone. We're going to wrap up the stream because I'm not going to lie, my sciatica is flaring up. It's really hard for me to sit at the moment. I'd like to get off of my butt and start standing, walking around, stretching. So we're going to wrap it up. We covered a lot of different stuff today, showcased some assets, did the DAM challenge highlights, did some Q&A, discussed upcoming streams and events, showcased some cool new assets in the upcoming update. Well, Suzaki, you don't normally play your game inside of Dungeon Alchemist. Usually people play their game in, say, another tool like a virtual tabletop. And in the virtual tabletops, you can adjust your grid size, color, grid type on command. In Dungeon Alchemist, it's very limited in that regard, and almost everything is built around the square grids. Like generation of rooms, layouts, etc., are all essentially based around a square grid. But we do offer the hex grid because some people like to use those for their gameplay or various systems. But at the end of the day, if you're using like a virtual tabletop in tandem with Dungeon Alchemist, our maps export flawlessly to those systems, including, you know, walls, windows, lighting, line of sight information, etc. But then you can set your grid scale customized in the virtual tabletop to whatever you want. See you later, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll be back with Mapmaker Monday. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is available on Steam. We offer a free demo. And just a quick heads up, I've been told that Dungeon Alchemist will be participating in the Steam Spring Sale in just a couple short weeks. So I think in less than 2 weeks, it'll be on sale for, I think, roughly 20% off is usually what we do. If you're interested in participating in the sale, make sure you add Dungeon Alchemist to your wish list. That way, when it goes on sale, Steam will notify you, and you can grab it on a good deal. Appreciate everyone that tuned in today, whether it was your first stream or your 100th, whether you were actively chatting or you were lurking. At the end of the day, I appreciate each and every one of you being here, supporting these community initiatives and each other, because our community is just so amazing. And really loves to help guide each other in their, map making journeys and DM journeys. So thank you all for being here and being so supportive of each other. We'll see you next time I give a damn. All right. We're going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad and we're going to wrap up the stream. See you later, everyone. Mac out. Hey, by the way, if you enjoyed the stream today, make sure before you leave, you hit that follow, like, subscribe, share, whatever it is. Make sure you do so. And if you find our posts later on social media about, these streams, make sure you retweet them, share them, like them. That way, it gets more, eyes on these various events, so more people will attend them, hopefully, in the future. We're trying to grow these streams up to be even more active. And today during the stream, we had at one point like 60, 70 viewers between all platforms. It's quite a fun thing to see. I would love to get that up to like 100 consistent viewers. It would be really cool. Anyway, thank you everyone for participating today. Shy Flames, glad you made it. Atlam, thank you for being a superstar moderator. Appreciate you so very, very much. We're going to run that Dungeon Alchemist themed ad and then we're going to wrap up the stream. Thank you everyone for being here. Back out.
But can it handle curves?
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 Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map-making application for role-playing games, now comes with both round and diagonal walls. Create amazing professional maps for your players in seconds. Get it now on the Steam store.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for participating today. We'll see you on Monday for Mapmaker Monday. And remember, tomorrow is daylight savings for a lot of different people. So the schedule's going to be a little wonky the next couple of weeks. We'll see you later. Mac out. Bye.